Take number 3. And pause. My driver crashed. But yeah, hope you guys having a good morning, not shit like that. And let's get started. We're gonna handle this video as per title. We're gonna discuss a certain item. But before that, I would really like to know what you guys have been building, what you've been cooking, and what you think you've had success with and what you think is good. And just your general experiences with the new season. And I'll share mine later in the video. Sorry. It's so when I've done this 3 times in a row with non-stop, it's just a bit weird to like say the same thing over and over again, you know? But it is what it is. Welcome to YouTube, everybody. Alright, so we're going to talk about this item here. Because I know a lot of people have talked about this item, a lot of people love this item, and a lot of people have been messaging Rat Arrow about this item. And also Rat Arrow has mentioned many times that he thinks this item is bad. Now, is it really? I don't think so. But also, I don't think it's as good as some people might say. Because generally speaking, I think this is a very feel-good item. And I'll elaborate on that later, although it's very much in the word. It just feels good. It feels nice, it's fun, it's cool, it's epic, it's crazy. But there are some pushbacks to this. I had to change my runes because the first time I did this, before my driver crashed, it didn't crash that time. I had PTA and that kind of like influenced my numbers, and I want this to be as consistent as possible, which is why I'm now running these runes here. Although I would never recommend you to run these runes at all. Although it could not be that bad. But I probably should have took something else. Anyway, what we're going to do here, very simple. This target dummy has 1000 HP, which means that this should proc when damage is dealt to the dummy when it's below 350 HP. And that is a very simple math because this dummy has 1000 HP. So that means when this dummy is below 350 health, it should crit, right? So I'm going to do whatever attacks. I'll bring it to 500 HP around here. Then I'm going to E, right? You see it doesn't crit. You can pause the video. I'm not paying too much attention to that. You can check out the numbers yourself and we'll just take it from there. Now again, I'm going to do it, but it's still going to be below 350. Right, but a crit. You can see that. Just again, for clarity's sake. Because again, ticks could have been happening at a certain point. I'll let it sit here. And it still crits. Which, in turn, it really shouldn't do. Because I've tested this multiple times. So, this should... Because I have had the question with this. Like, if the target is 360 HP... and you use E, would then it take 10 damage? And then would the remaining be a crit? Like, how would they handle that situation, right? Because in the worst case scenario, which is how it should work, or how it works most of the time, is that when you E, when they blow for like above 350 HP as they are now, it's not going to crit, right? And that is an issue with this item. If you press your E on a target dummy, when they're not under the threshold, it'll not crit. But then the poison will tick. And that is what I mean. It's a feel-good item in that sense, right? Because unless they're like close to or under that threshold, which would be now, it's not going to crit, right? So then the only thing you get from this item is 120 AP. Which is why I say this item isn't as good as some other ones. And also why I will say that when you go something like Nash's Tooth or something first, as most of the time you should do, I think after like I've tried the item as well, it's obviously fun. I've gone a second. But for all things considered, given the fact that it's still crits and everything, regardless of that, I think that the value you'll get most out of it is just Death Cap a second. Because it gives you X amount of AP, but then it also increases your AP by 35%, effectively increasing your poison damage overall by 35% anyway, right? As opposed to Shadowflame, which crits for 35%. When they're below. Oh, it crits for... Alright. There's some weird... there are some weird things here. Because when you do this, and then you see that it does 30% increased damage for damage over time and perfect. So like it crits, your poison tick should crit for more than normal. right? But still, with that 30%, it's still lower than the 35% you get from Rabadon, right? So although the crit effect is nice and everything, the damage overall, like just by those two things, because this is technically 35% increased permanent damage, and this one is 35 or 30 to 20% increased damage when they're below 35%. And this is something you'll see reflected in the win rate. And I'm not going to drag this video much longer on. I'm going to just show you guys here. Right? First item, we have a lot of ones, and they can have a variance. You can see Rabadon's first is close to 90% win rate. But just consistently speaking, like Nash's Tooth is like just a general one. It's obviously going to have a close to 50% win rate, right? When it's the baseline item. But then you can see on the second one, Shadowflame is at 50, whereas Death Cap is 56.5. And the reason for why the Death Cap might be inflated is because a lot of people are building Shadowflame, but then the one tricks, right? Or like the people that really like put a lot of thought into everything and maximizing that are building Rabadon. So then that will just inflate the number. Just like Aurelion Sol for a very long time was the highest win rate champion in the entirety of League of Legends, but that was only because only OTPs played him, right? But obviously also Rabadon is just a very generally very good item. So you'll just see that reflected. But then you can see that the win rate of Shadowflame third is just generally higher than second anyway. And then the rest doesn't really matter too much. And you can't really speak too much of it because obviously the other ones are going to have an impact. But I think like the first and second items does speak a lot about the game. And just the general like effectiveness of certain items. And that is basically this video here. Just me saying that, although I do like Shadowflame, I don't think it's better than Rabadon's Death Cap. And of course you can say, because Rabadon's is more expensive. But at the end of the day, I do think just saving up money and getting Rabadon second or something is better. Because you have a lot of stats that can affect Twitch AP, like CDR, all these other things, right? But it all like it has to build on something, and that something is your AP. Like that's the baseline. You need that, and then all the other stats will just walk around that. Like the more AP you have, the better it's with CDR. But like if you have millions of CDR, it doesn't matter if your AP is none, right? So like it doesn't matter if you crit below a certain percent if you don't have any AP, because then you'll do no damage anyway. So yeah. I would also really love to know, for those watching this here, can someone explain to me why the dummy crits, if I have Shadowflame, you could explain to me why it doesn't crit. When it has. I can't even tell if that crit. This video is going to drag on now because I'm going to just show random things and we're just going to go over it, but whatever. It's like another 30 seconds. So, boom, 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 boom. E crits. That was 392. You can argue crit. So we'll try like. Oh, it's happened again. It's a bit harder when it's more AP because obviously my damage is going to be higher. So we're just going to sell this again. That should make everything a lot easier. We'll just let him drop to. Okay, now doesn't crit, right? 500. 473 doesn't crit. Now we're gonna test a tick lower than that. So 473. What do you want? 452 doesn't crit. One more. No, crits. And that was above 400 HP. It's just a bit weird. I don't know why. It shouldn't be happening. I've tested this multiple times. As you can see, like the number does fall below the threshold, but it doesn't crit anyway. And that's just kind of weird. But generally speaking, the item shouldn't be working when the target is not going to or are at the HP of when you press the item. Obviously, there's a travel time between your E and when it hits target, as you can see. So that might have some impact on that. But generally speaking, it works as it works. So yeah, this is my video explaining why Shadowflame isn't that great. Even though it's 9 minutes, only the first 3 minutes was necessary to watch. And if you watched all the way through here, I just want to say I hope you guys continue to have a good morning and a fishy like that. And yeah, take care. Peace.